Alright, so right now I am playing this game on my Intel Arc A770. I have a Ryzen 5600X with 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance, clocked at 3200. It's a B550 motherboard, and the sound that you're hearing is coming through not my usual microphone that I would use for my gaming channel, but I was just curious to see how this Razer headset would do. And this is the Razer Kraken X, so it's a budget headset. It would run you around $40 to $50. Probably not as good quality by any stretch of the imagination as, you know, my XLR microphone. If you want to hear what that sounds like, you can just check out any of my other videos that I'm speaking in. Mainly though, I just wanted to try out capturing the video on my A770 while I'm playing. And this game does support Intel XESS. I think they pronounce it like XS. So if you just hear me saying XS, then that's basically what I mean. I could say XESS. I think it's like one of those things like, you know, whether you call it a GIF or a GIF. I apologize if you're on the other side of the fence that calls it XESS and gets offended that I'm going to call it XS. But it's my video and I'll do what I want. Oh shit. I normally don't like being that close to people when I play this game. The Tremere just came out. I don't remember this the last time. I don't play this game that often, but gosh, when was the last time? Okay, well, to me, this class just came out, but I think it did come out recently, though. I'll have to look that up. This game's really fun. I normally don't like battle royale type games, but I enjoy this one. If you hear me stop talking, it's because I suck at multitasking. And I don't want to die right away. Oh shit. Oh god. Okay. Well, I wasn't expecting to have to fight anybody like right off the bat like that. I've also never used the crossbow. But oh, somebody's over there. Is there another way out? Yeah, I kind of want to get that there, but somebody's probably up here. Oh my god, I have a revolver. I've never used a revolver either. Oh, that squeaky toy in the background, that's my dog, by the way. So in terms of this game, I am a noob. Like, I don't have like a bajillion hours in it. I do understand the mechanics, and I'm not an expert at all. Whoa. That was weird. Okay. Let's see here. So the monitor I'm playing on right now is a high refresh. Blah. Yeah. The monitor I'm playing on right now is a high refresh rate monitor. there's two people? Are they working together or is that NPC? Anyway, the point I wanted to make earlier is that the monitor I'm playing on is a gosh, I can't talk today. It is a high refresh rate monitor, and I don't have a FPS counter up right now, but I can tell it's over 60 frames per second visually. Like, probably it looks like to me in the 80 to 100 range. And that's a conservative estimate. Mainly, I want to see if this is an NPC, because I see this thing.
Investigating target.
Yeah, I don't know what these things are. Oops, I forgot to put on my armor. But I really like being able to fly like Peter Pan. Like in a game like this, where you could just fly and go from rooftop all nimbly bimbly like some kind of demon cat, it's pretty awesome. Now granted, I probably stick out quite a bit when I do that. Oh god, I didn't mean to slide. I probably stick out quite a bit when I do that. But the amount of distance you can cover is just amazing. And that, not to mention the fact that it like refreshes, like the cooldown is basically non-existent. Like it's a few seconds between uses, but it's not. It's just very quick, the refresh. And to get into like a firefight with somebody and then just being able to just fly over them, and shoot them is pretty awesome. I just realized somebody has like a PlayStation symbol over their name. I didn't realize this was cross-platform, which is awesome. The more I talk about this game, the more it shows, obviously, I am a noob. Like I said, I don't have a million hours on it. I did try it out when it launched, and I really liked it. But then I got sidetracked with other stuff. And I jump in every once in a while, but it's very, very casual. But I like it. I really wanted to like Modern Warfare 2 and like Warzone, but I don't know. I've always been the kind of person, that gravitates towards shooters that have some unrealistic element to it. Like, I was really into Halo for a long time. You know, it's got kind of like a sci-fi thing to it. Really heavily sci-fi influence, obviously. But it is still a shooter. But Modern Warfare and like, you know, Battlefield, things like that are very realistic based. Meh. Like, they're fun. Like, especially if you have friends that you're playing with, they're fun. But just playing solo is not that fun to me. But a game like this, where I could just jump in and try to survive, and it's just by myself, I have a lot of fun. And there's times when I get into like a few firefights and stuff, and like my heart's pounding, because then like I get knocked out, but I'm still alive. I'm not completely dead, and then I'm able to crawl away, and then regenerate, and pop back up, and then like kill somebody, and it's just moments like that that I really like. Like, even when I'm dying. Oh, and these keys, if you find a chest on the map, you can open the chest. I think it's probably too late at this point. I think that because the basically this gas, you know, like most battle royale games, you know, you can't stand in the gas or you die, or it takes away your health, I mean. So at this point, I was going to try to show you what's in the chest, but basically it's just like a purple weapon, more than likely, or something. I don't know if cosmetics can drop from them. I've never bothered enough with trying to open the chest to know for sure. But every time I've opened it, I've gotten like a purple weapon out of it. There's some fire over there. It's firing. Oh god. So for the most part, what my experience is playing this on the A770 is pretty smooth. Every once in a while, I notice a stutter, but I don't know if that's because I'm recording with OBS. But it's not a terrible stutter, where I'm like completely hung up 100%. Obviously, I wouldn't like that if I was in the middle of a firefight. But so far, it's just been while jumping on buildings. Okay, there's somebody over there in the distance. I don't want to jump out yet unless I have to. Okay, there's somebody over there.
no. No, get away. Get away.
Wow, 3 out of 42. I really didn't expect to last as long as I did, because, like I said, I'm not like experty expert. But it's just fun. Look at him slurp that sippy cup. But yeah, the frame rate is pretty smooth, I would say. I am using the excess profile on balanced, I think, or performance. I don't remember, actually, now that I think about it. But I'm using one of those. I'm playing at 1440, just standard 1440 resolution, not like a crazy ultra-wide resolution. Who will do it? Who will oh, wow, they killed each other. Look at that. Well, I guess it's whoever pops up first and gets a good shot. That, see, I think that's one of the fun things about this game, is that you can come back. Here we go. Oh, he got it. He did it. He won. All right, well, if you have an A770 or you know, you're curious about getting an ARC card, A750, A770, I would highly recommend it because the price for what you get is actually really, really good. Yeah, there might be games where 3060 gets higher frame rate in certain circumstances, but the more you crank the resolution, the ARC cards actually stay pretty consistent. So on the A770, what I mean by that is essentially at 1440 or 4K, the performance really doesn't drop very much. Whereas on a similar NVIDIA card or AMD card, drops off pretty significantly. So the ARC will experience maybe about a 15 frame per second drop or less. I would say between 10 to 15 frames per second, around, give or take. And I'm just generalizing here. Obviously, it depends on game. But you know, from 1440 to 4K, it really doesn't drop all that much. So if you take the overall frame drop from 1080 all the way to 4K, it's significantly less than if you were trying to do the same with a 3060, because at 4K, that 3060 would completely drop off altogether. And depending on what settings you're using, you could still be around 50 to 60 FPS at 4K, depending on game. Whereas, again, if you were using that 3060, you would probably be in the 30s, maybe the 40s. So that's what I like about the ARC cards, is that if you're doing 1080p or 1440p, they're great alternatives to a 3060. Especially since I kind of feel like a lot of NVIDIA cards are pretty overpriced. And like you could be spending that $500 or $600 for like an NVIDIA card that only has 8 gigs of VRAM on an ARC card like an A770 that has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. The drivers, Intel's been doing a great job supporting the drivers. They release driver updates probably 2 to 3 times a month, depending. Sometimes they update pretty quick, depending on if there's new releases or things like that they want to get ahead of. On like they did that for Diablo 4 and for Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 4 remake. They did an excellent job. So basically, when that released for the demo, it ran terribly on an ARC card. Whether you had an A750 or an A770, it ran horrible. even on the lowest settings. And then the developers of the Resident Evil remake, I don't know if it was because of ARC cards specifically or other GPUs were also having issues, like where it should have been running better than it was. Anyway, basically they pushed out an update, and all of a sudden on ARC cards, Alchemist cards, they got way better performance. So whereas it was really difficult to stay in the 30 or 40 FPS, regardless of setting, all of a sudden you could put it on high settings and performance was around 50 to 60 FPS, or about 60 FPS depending on what graphical settings you had. And then Intel got they put out a patch. I think it was in the beta driver, specifically with the Resident Evil remake in mind. And then all of a sudden, FPS went up to like 80 FPS. Like even you max out those settings, and you'll probably get, if you have the A770, you'll probably get around 80 FPS or more, depending on what kind of CPU you have and things like that. So overall time frame, demo comes out a week later. There's a patch from the developer, and that increased FPS quite a bit for ARC. And I don't know if they did it specifically for ARC in mind or they were just doing that in general just to increase performance. But then about a week from that, Intel specifically puts out a beta driver that targets Resident Evil remake, and all of a sudden the performance is like 80 FPS or more. So like I said, Intel's really good about driver updates. This game runs really, really good on the ARC. And if you're looking for a GPU and you're not really sure if you want to spend money on a $500 or $600 NVIDIA card that only comes with 8 gigs of VRAM, that'll probably run a lot of games really well. But in a lot of like the newer games where VRAM is starting to now become an issue, where you can just max out that VRAM and the game will crash. It might be worth taking a look at ARC. AMD has really good prices too on cards. Although if productivity is anything that you're kind of also looking to do, ARC does pretty well in the productivity department, as well as, believe it or not, ray tracing performance is actually really good on ARC too. It's really on par with NVIDIA ray tracing. You're probably not going to use ray tracing much at all anyway. Even if you had an NVIDIA card, you probably wouldn't be using ray tracing much unless you had a powerful NVIDIA GPU, something like a 3070 Ti, maybe a 3080, 3090, any of those TIs. Yeah, you'll probably do ray tracing on that and, max out your settings. Anything lower than that and on an NVIDIA GPU, you're probably not doing it. But the ARC with the 16 gigs of VRAM, if you want to turn ray tracing on and it's a well-optimized game, it runs fabulously. One game in particular that I can think of off the top of my head is the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. When you turn ray tracing on for that game, and those games usually run really good for AMD, right? They're kind of like an AMD optimized type game where they just run really, really well for AMD. You turn ray tracing on, and if you have an AMD GPU, unless it's like super beefy, it's going to tank performance. You turn it on, even if you have an A750 or one of the 8 gig A770s, you're still in the 60 FPS, high settings, ultra settings, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, especially if you're using XS on any one of the profiles with ray tracing. You're going to have no problems whether you're at 1440, even 4K with ray tracing. It's still very, very playable, about 50 to 60 FPS. There's a lot of really good videos out there if you want to check out, but it's really a great option. If you only have like $250 to spend on a GPU, A750 is a great choice. If you have $350 to spend, A770 is not a bad choice either. And I think the prices are going to start coming down even more And you know, yeah, you could get a 6700 XT if you want for around that price. You know, like I said, AMD has really good cards. Um, you know, that's definitely one to consider too. It's really more so, you know, it depends on what you're looking for and what you want. Because if you're going to be playing for, like, let's say you're the type of person that doesn't necessarily want to stick to 1080p, maybe you have a higher resolution monitor like a 1440 or like an ultra wide. Like, let's say you're running 5120 by 1440, which I have done with my Arc A770. I've even done that with Last of Us. Now, yeah, that performance isn't super good, but at ultra wide, I can still play the game at 50, 60 FPS, high textures, medium, mostly medium, everything else. I think reflections are still medium. Lighting, I turned off a lot of lighting options or turned them to low. But yeah, 50, 60 FPS normally, but sometimes when I get around heavy foliage in that ultra wide resolution, or I get near water, it does dip into like the 30s, like high 30s, low 40s. Not terrible. If you were using a 6700 XT with those settings, I don't know, maybe you could. I don't know, it just depends. If you had a 3060, there's no way you're doing that at 5120 by 1440, especially high textures. High textures at all on a 3060 is going to, you're going to go over the VRAM limit and it's going to crash. It's going to be a crash fest. So the flexibility I think that the Arc gives you is actually pretty good. If I wanted something pretty to look at, I could, you know, run it at my 1440 native resolution. Or, you know, I have the ultra wide monitor. I can also just play at ultra wide. There's a lot of flexibility. That 16 gigabytes of VRAM really lets you do a lot. Like, yeah, are you going to be able to play with ultra max, ultra wide? No, unless the game is optimized ridiculously well with, or developed with Intel in mind. A good example of a game like that is Hogwarts. Hogwarts, actually, you get pretty decent performance at 4K, high settings, with a R card. You know, you don't believe me? Look up the video called Oxio VRAM. And that's a really, really good video to check out. It shows you the potential of, you know, what this card is capable of when the developer has Intel Arc in mind. And it also, you know, that's one of the games where you can use Intel XS to upscale if you wanted to. But even natively, it does really well. If you were using a similarly priced 3060 card, you are not running that at 4K. You're going to go way over your VRAM limit, and the game just either won't run or it's going to be a stuttery mess. With the 16 gigabytes of VRAM you get with the Intel Arc card, it's no problem. Would I run Hogwarts at 4K? I don't have a 4K monitor, but I have an ultra wide, and yeah, I mean, it looks good, 5120 by 1440. Would I run it like that all the time? No, I'd probably run it on my standard 1440p monitor. And it's not even a fancy one. It's just a Lenovo G32QC -10, which is just a standard 16 by 9 resolution 1440p monitor, and that's how I play that game with XS turned on ultra high, and it looks amazing. It's just a really, really awesome budget card. 1080p 1440p, you're not going to have any issues, but if you want that extra flexibility sometimes to crank it up, I mean, you definitely can. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. I probably went on a long rant about Intel Arc. Feel free to flame me in the comments. I don't care. If you don't believe me that this card can run higher resolutions, that's cool, because I'm playing at those resolutions and having a great time. So whatever. I hope to get back to doing you know, more of the standard Game Sushi videos where like I just play through and you know, do the horror games and do the commentary and all that jazz. There's just been a lot of stuff going on in my life that kind of took precedent But now that all that's kind of calmed down and settled down, I'm looking to get more into the swing of things, and I'll probably be uploading videos here shortly, just gameplay videos, things like that. I've just been doing a lot of experimenting with my Intel Arc, just testing things out because it can do AV1 encoding, and I'm just seeing how that works out at, you know, recording for longer periods of time, just seeing how big the file sizes are, because AV1 I think is going to be a game changer going forward. You know, before my videos, when I would record, they would end up being, you know, a few gigs, and then to have to import that and edit it's not like it was really taking a long time to mess with or do, but AV1, the file sizes that I've noticed so far are way, way smaller, and it's just a lot easier to work with when it's a small, more portable file size. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. I will see you in the next video.